Me, Suze, coming to you from the Prophetic Destiny of Missouri on the third cosmic ray, St. Louis, Missouri. So, I wanted to give you a little background on this page, the Prophetic Destiny of Missouri. It actually comes from a book that I found back in 2004 called The Prophetic Destiny of a Nation. And this is by Dutch Sheets and Chuck D. Pierce. And what it says at the bottom is discovering how your future can be greater than your past. So, when we open the page, I wanted to talk about Missouri's destiny because, really, believe it or not, Missouri is the only state that entered into the Union as a divided state. And that was back on August the 10th, 1821. If you caught my other videos, I talk a little about life charting. And believe it or not, August the 10th was my emancipation day from my old life, my ex-husband, blah, blah, blah. So we're seeing synchronicity again about being oppressed. And really, I think everybody's tired of being oppressed. So, with that being said, if Ferguson is a microcosm of the macrocosm, one of my dear friends on Facebook asked me the other day, who reflects who? Do the people reflect the government or vice versa? And really, does it matter if our world is irrevocably broken? Irrevocably. What a hard word. Broken. Instead of just chipped. So I believe that we can positively create change through this platform. And something that was pretty cool too before we dive into the book. Wrong hand. So anyhow, there is the School of Metaphysics here in Missouri, and they are the people that originally wrote the Universal Peace Covenant. The Universal Peace Covenant is what I typed in to Facebook on September 1st, midnight, during the phenomena when I was praising God and the tears were rolling down my eyes. So all of these things tie together, and it's just kind of getting to know Suze and where I come from. Lived here in St. Louis all my life, love North County. The third cosmic ray is a blessed place. We're blessed with waterways, we're blessed with good soil, we're blessed with good people that really do get along. But I want to go back to this karmic problem of Missouri being a divided state. Can you believe it or not? I'm sitting right here 5 minutes away from the Lambert St. Louis International Airport in Ferguson, Missouri. So, if I would go to the airport, it'd take 5 minutes. Now, let's say that I wanted to hit any of the major three highways, Highway 70, Highway 170, or Highway 270. I could be there in under 10 minutes. If I wanted to get to the line that was drawn in Missouri, where the one side of the state was pro-slavery and the other side of the state said we were all free no matter what color we were. Well, that's only 15 minutes away from here. So maybe that gives you a little bit of insight into how the tragedy of Mike Brown plays into our prophetic destinies. And like I told you, in my mind, he was prophesying to the old man, saying, don't be angry, Jesus will be walking with you. Don't be tempted by Satan to do anything silly, because we are all blessed and we are all going to continue on this wonderful journey to ascension. And I believe we're going to have heaven on earth here, and I'm going to grow old here and help set up the new heaven on earth. So with that being said, we're just going to move on to this book. And I would like to read to you, really, about Missouri's history. So we're going to call that its karmic past. And then I'd like to reveal the prophecy that these two men received from God about what our role as Missourians are. And remember, I'm just not about the United States, I'm talking about the entire globe. So imagine if every culture had the history like this. And they do. So, as people, I hope people will research their own states, maybe where they were born, maybe where they moved to, maybe where they have friends and loved ones, and then expand that idea out, because I know a lot of people have friends and loved ones all over the world. We all have a purpose. Shall we begin? This is no normal history lesson, obviously, so I hope I don't bore you guys today. Missouri has been called the Mother of the West, or the Gateway to the West, because it was the starting point for much exploration and travel. In 1812, a portion of the Louisiana Territory became the Missouri Territory, and by 1818, Missouri requested to be admitted to the Union. This request caused a nationwide uproar over the issue of slavery, and the bitter debates created further division within the U.S. In 1820, the Missouri Compromise was passed, allowing Maine in as a free state and Missouri in as a slave state, keeping the ratio between slave and free states equal. It also stipulated that slavery was prohibited in the remainder of the Louisiana Territory north of the southern boundary of Missouri. August 10th, 1821, were admitted as the 24th state, blah, blah, blah. In 1831, Joseph Smith and his followers, known as the Mormons or Latter-day Saints, settled in Independence, Missouri. The growing Mormon population was not well received by the other Missourians. In 1838, hostilities escalated into what is known as the Mormon War. The governor of Missouri issued his famous extermination order to the militia. The Mormons must be treated as enemies and must be exterminated or driven from the state if necessary for public peace. There were raids, burnings of homes and businesses, and rapes, and both sides committed murder. An unprovoked attack at Haun's Mill left 17 Latter-day Saints men and boys dead. Let's move on. The well-known Dred Scott place took place in Missouri. The case was taken to the United States Supreme Court, and the resulting decision in 1857 upheld slavery in U.S. territories that had previously been ruled as non-slavery areas by the Missouri Compromise and denied the legality of black citizenship in America. Scott's case left America in shock and throes and convulsions that only the complete eradication of slavery throughout the war could cure. When the Kansas-Nebraska Act was signed in 1854, it did away with the Missouri Compromise and allowed each state to decide if it would be a free state or a slave state. For 5 years before the Civil War, residents of the neighboring states of Missouri and Kansas waged their own civil conflict, which was more characterized by unremitting and unparalleled brutality. More than anywhere else in the nation, this was truly a civil war, a conflict whose wounds were a long time in healing. Jayhawkers from Kansas and bushwhackers from Missouri led raids on the others' lands, homes, businesses, and families, committing numerous violent atrocities. Between November 1855 and December 1856 alone, 200 died in the conflict. In August of 1863, Order Number 11 was issued that called for Bates, Cass, Jackson, and Vernon counties to be made into a wasteland. People were given 15 days to leave the area, and then every home, barn, and outbuilding was burned to the ground, and all the food was appropriated or destroyed. For many years after the Civil War, this area was called the Burnt District. The result was a divided state. Missouri experienced 1,162 skirmishes and battles, had more fighting within its borders than any other state except for Virginia, and ranks as the third most fought over state in the nation during the Civil War. By the third year of the war, much of Missouri had been deburned or depopulated. Burned, or depopulated. No wonder we had so many fires here. Can you imagine? Oh, they call them the ghost of past, or the sins of the generations, the 7 generations back. And, at this point, this is what I am humbly begging everybody to do, is simply forgive the idea that we were duped. Forgive the idea that we were given so much misinformation. And you know what? Lord, forgive us all. Nobody knew really what they were doing. And it's very easy to be asleep spiritually and have your eyes wide open, being puppeted and possessed by things of this material world or of other realms. And they say that's what we better watch out for. Check your information on YouTube, get educated, find out about that CERN thing, and what's going on in Switzerland, and black holes and negative energies coming out of black holes, and also the negative energy getting ready to get sucked out of everybody, because we are going to have love and peace. We get to go on, guys. That's awesome in my book. I would really like to stay. So, I think at this point, I'd like to bring something up that we've talked about. Everybody wants to know why people are angry these days. And wise ones, people that I consider to be my mentors, explain it in a beautiful way. They say that humanity has never been able to mourn the passing of what they considered to be normal. So, especially after the slaying of Mike Brown and the riots and the fires and that energy manifesting and reaching other places all over across the world, people are looking for answers and a way to get back. But then they have to realize there never was any normal. And I promise you, as a lifelong resident of North St. Louis County, we have always strived to get along the best we can. We were thrown into someone else's war as a divided state. So I'll tell you, personally, I don't see color. Okay. Now the good news, which the good news is always great, right? So these two guys that wrote the book, I'm going to read to you passages about what they prophesied for the state of Missouri. And I will tell you this. There was a time in my life when I was scared and I was sad, and I figured that World War III would have happened by 2005, surely. And we have been blessed with this extra time, and they say there's a reason. So let's get back to the books. This hasn't been said to any other state. I have no idea why God looks at you like that, but it's very clear that that's how he's looking at you. There are certain things that he wants you to review, and what has not been completed, he wants completed. But then he also wants to unlock what's ahead for you. Then Dutch Sheets went on to say, you are not going to succeed through past methods and formulas, how you did it before. You're going to have to listen for the sound. Now listen, that's the word for you, Missouri. I'm telling you, that's the word for you. You're going to have to hear from God and listen. You don't need a whole state to be doing it. You don't need whoever shows up. Don't wait for this thing or that thing, or think you've got to get whoever or whatever on board, or a certain amount of churches or a certain amount of people. If we don't get it, we can't do it. So let's do it. Chuck prophesied, this is a time that I am coming. I am coming, and I have surprises, and I have releases that I'm bringing to this state. The captives that have been held, this state will be known as one who opened the prison doors. I will say to you today what I do in this state and how I use this state will tingle the ears of the nation. Put your ear to the ground, for this will be a stomp that will run faster than the horses in Missouri. And they will say about Missouri, we didn't even know they had horses, but I'm setting a course in Missouri that will control and open up the gates of the land. My hand is now open upon you. Dutch said, he, God, said, I am going to show the show me state signs and wonders and great miracles. Because when the cloud comes, you can't help but have signs and wonders and miracles. And you can't help but have harvest because impregnation, conception, occurs at the seed of life is deposited and something comes forth. Missouri, help is on the way. God is going to show you his glory to the show me state. The river of God will flow through Missouri, bringing signs, wonders, and miracles. God is releasing the seer anointing, opening the eyes of Missouri to see prophetically. 4 cities will have a release of evangelism that will overtake them. Kansas City, St. Louis, Jefferson City, and Carthage. Missouri is to have 24 simultaneous worship gatherings will lift worship in Missouri to a new level. The state will set the captives free. Isaiah 49 declares, come out, be free. You know I like to be free, guys, but I'm a slave just like y'all. And it's coming to a halt. I stepped out of the Matrix on my birthday, February 25th, 2015. I'm speaking. I'm spending time with you guys face to face. And I want to tell you, it really truly is an honor. I am enjoying this. I don't know if I come off a little different on this YouTube today than yesterday. Everything tried to stand in my way of getting this video shot today. The dogs were barking. I locked them up in the bedroom. I finally got Smokey Joe out, got Ian out, got Lauren out, and so here I am now, just us. I am getting ready to start doing hair now because you know I am the holistic stylist also. Love my clients, love my friends. We're all in this together. And I never was just doing hair to make a buck or because I love being a frilly girl and doing hair. I really care more about the person on the inside. So I've combined the hair and the holistic work and the healing and the speaking to people for that reason. So with that, peace out and namaste from the Big Yellow House.